As we bring in our man Jason Jones, the professor, if you will, the professor Jason Jones of the Athletic. Jason, what's up, partner?
Nothing much. Nice to come in right after the phrase "Lakers fail miserably," but hey,
Well, you don't have to worry about that because they're going to have a all LA parade for a title they won like 2 seasons ago.
I have. I do not endorse that, nor do I want to see any of that. I do not want to see. No, no, we're gonna do have. Let's get Kike Hernandez back from Boston so he can participate. And hey, Rondo, I know you might be busy, but let's get back out here. Hey, where's KCP? No, no, LeBron needs to put the Twitter down sometime. Now we don't need that. We don't need a participation trophy type parade. Like hey, let's go ahead and get Sierra Canyon up there, and I'm sure like some high school football. Just make it L.A. County. Yeah, no,
Your,
I'll pass on that.
Your boy Bron is a bit wild, man. He's a bit wild.
Yeah, I think sometimes he and Magic both have the I don't know what you would call it, the ability to tweet things that make you go, I wonder why he would just. I mean, why? It's like why? Are we really gonna? No one wants an all LA parade. I mean, that's no.
The LA might like see LeBron is cerebral. Like, remember when LeBron tweeted "Free OBJ"? And I came in here that day. I was like, yeah, dude, Odell going to the Rams. Like LeBron didn't just tweet that for no reason.
Well,
like he tweeted it.
Yeah, they can let LeBron be on the video and congratulate the Rams or something.
Nah,
I don't know, but
he won his own float.
I mean, yeah, they won, but I'm like, I'm more worried about this point. You know what? Hey, how about you deal with not being the ninth seed? I mean, I don't really care about a parade. I mean, they did the White House, so they got part of it. I mean, hey, I think they did the White House. I don't remember at this point. I feel like that was like 10 years ago at this point. Like we've been through like 5-6 seasons since 2020.
Bron. You gotta love Bron. You really do gotta love Bron.
You think they can win a playoff series?
This team right now, no. No.
That's crazy.
But it's no, I can't say not the way they look right now. I mean, they can't hold leads. I mean, when you watch them, sometimes I watch the Lakers and think they really don't like their coach or something because there's no way in the world you could be out there doing that and someone told you to do it. I'm like, what do you? Sometimes it's just wild, and even the situation with Russ, where Russ says his back was hurting, but he's also not used to sitting for long stretches.
That was funny.
I'm like, bro, did you see yourself against the Knicks? They win regulation if they get you out the game. I was like, man, I said, but you know what? Maybe there's enough drama. Maybe they get some of that old LA drama magic and go, wow, we hate each other. Let's make something weird happen. And then, but right now they probably play the Suns or the Warriors if they get in.
Oof.
I don't like their chances of neither one of those, quite honestly. I mean, they'd have to get up to 6 for me to be like, they can win a series. And right now they can't win 2 games in a row.
So let me ask you something that you might have a little bit more insight. That you definitely would have more insight than I would. People like our dear friend Trista Crick get on the Lakers for not making a move at the deadline. Do you think there's some gamesmanship going around the league where they're like, I'm not helping the Lakers out. You guys get everything all the time. You got LA. I'm like, we'll make a trade, but it's like 1,000% on my terms if I'm like a rival GM or something like that. You think some of that happened around the trade deadline for them?
I don't know if as much as that is they don't have a whole lot they can move. And if you're going to take on something that they've got, yeah, you're going to tax them for that. And plus, let's not forget their GM is a former agent, Rob Pelinka, who there's people around the league who didn't like Rob. And because there's an argument to be made that a couple of years ago when they did win the title, he should have been in the running for executive of the year, putting that team together. He got no love. As if, it was like the team just fell together out the sky. So I think you add some of that stuff into it, and the fact that what are you going to do? Offer DeAndre Jordan and what? They really couldn't do a whole lot, anyway. I've been saying for months, that's going to be their team. For better or worse, that's their team. They could, the whole idea of they can flip THT and something, whatever, like, I wasn't banking on it. That's what they've got. They got to figure something out.
Is there any way obviously this season is what it is. Whatever they do, LeBron James is going to drag them to it. But is the only way to fix this is to get out of this Russell Westbrook issue that they have, get off of that contract, and be able to bring in a more well-balanced team? Is like moving Russell Westbrook the key to this whole thing for the Lakers?
I don't know. I mean, maybe next year, but I mean, right now.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's like, what was it like in New Jack City? We all we got. Maybe I my movies wrong. That's all they can't do anything now. What do you do? Wait on the buyout market? Maybe gets a little extra help there, but their solution is going to be, you know what? LeBron be LeBron, AD play better, Russ figure it out, and see what you got with the rest of the guys. I mean, Malik Monk hasn't been bad for him. I mean, Kendrick Nunn has the worst bruised knee I've ever seen in recorded history. I mean, that's right. That's your mid-level. That's one of your exception deals. You've gotten zero from that. They wanted Patty Mills in that spot. They didn't get him, but it's not like Brooklyn's lighting the world on fire right now either. So, I mean, last night is an exception.
Yeah.
They've been, but it's going to be interesting if you get them in a series and they can say they get into a series and they can steal a game on the road. And you get them in a position where you got, say, LeBron and AD playing really well and Russ somehow figure something out to fit in with them. I don't think you want to play them in a series per se because, if LeBron goes nuclear, he can take a series over. But for them, that can't even worry about that right now. They got to try to, like I said, win 2 or 3 games before they worry about a series against anybody.
So you got this, shifting gears to the Sacramento Kings. You've got the situation. I'm trying to figure out. I think we talked to you the day of the trade. We hadn't seen him play. Mm-hmm. So you see the Kings 2-3 games. There was mass hysteria after the first 2 games, and then mass hysteria the other way after the game last night. What do you think from 3 games of Sabonis being there, De'Aaron Fox playing with them, Harrison Barnes? What do you think about the pairing of Sabonis being in here? Was it worthwhile to move on from a guy as beloved as Halliburton to get a guy like Sabonis?
I still think so. Even if they gone 0-3 since, I'd still say it was worth it. You got to try something. You can't just sit around and just hope, maybe this guy will be our next star. And like I said, to me, the only way I would be like, what were you doing? And I'm not going to, would be like if Tyrese goes on to become like Grant Hill. And you're like, my God, that was a generational player we traded for a bit, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And like I said, that being said, he plays the same position as De'Aaron. And at some point, one of those 3 guys had to get moved. You couldn't keep them all. It just made no sense. So I think, when I've watched Sabonis play with them, I mean, just offensively, some of the things they can do that are differently, they're still not going to be a good defensive team, but at least have a guy, some more weapons on offense. If you're going to have a struggle, pick one, and then just roll with it. You can't struggle on both ends. And now I think they have more of a chance offensively. Like I said, last night, they couldn't make anything, but I like it. I think it was a good, it was well worth the risk. I mean, like I said, what were you going to do, to sit around and just wait? And so they were also able to get off of Marvin, finally move Marvin after, keeping him around for probably about a year too long, but he's, so I mean, they did some things they probably have wanted to do for a while. And so now, like I said, to me, it's not even about how they finish this season. It's about now you have a foundation going into the summer and beyond. I mean, would it be cool for them to get to 10 or whatever, get in the play-in? Sure. But to me, that's not I'm not going to say, okay, they didn't make the play-in, that was a failure, because the team wasn't good enough most of the year to be in that mix. So see what you got right here, make some decisions in the summer. I wish we could see Terrence Davis with this group. I think that would be a thing to see. With too bad he's hurt. I think that would be. I would love to see him with this group. But you have him back next season, so just kind of see where it goes.
Hey, real quick, Jason, I wanted to ask you, because you're pretty sensible when it comes to the King stuff. Do you think that not only Kings fans, but people around the league and media people, we all on this interview here, we like Tyrese Halliburton. I think people kind of jumped out the window with like, that's just never a guy that you ever trade.
Oh,
what
yeah.
he's doing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's kind of
You
bizarre.
would have thought the Kings traded Anthony Edwards or LaMelo
Right.
Ball. You'd have been like, I mean, that's the way people were reacted. How could you? It's like, calm down. I mean, he's a good and I hate even having the discussion to a degree because it sounds like I'm clowning Tyrese and I'm not.
Right.
No, we got you. We know what you mean.
Yeah, but there's levels to this, and LaMelo Ball's gonna be playing in the All-Star game once. They didn't trade him.
Right.
They didn't trade Ant Edwards. They didn't trade Ja Morant. Like, I think, like I said, part of it is I don't know a person who doesn't like Tyrese. And so it hurts to move on from someone you like. It's like breaking up with the girl that you didn't really want to break up with, but hey, she got a job across country. You don't want to do that whole 3,000-mile thing, but it hurts, but it has to happen. And I just think for them to get better in the long term, someone that people liked had to get moved. It wasn't just going to be, well, we'll move Marvin and Buddy, which was everyone's dream scenario. Hey, just move Marvin and Buddy. It's like, no, to get something good back, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But I just think part of it is that everyone loves Tyrese, and part of it is everyone's programmed to think whatever the Kings did is wrong. No matter what they do.
That's right.
They're going to be the way they were getting killed nationally. I'm like, number one, a lot of you guys have not watched the Kings a lot, clearly. And number two, a lot of you haven't watched Sabonis play a lot because some of these takes were so wild. Like, what are the Kings doing? And they're like, a week ago, you guys were all making fun of this team for being down by like 90 in Boston. Now, all of a sudden, no one from that same team is tradable.
Right. Buddy Hield is a flamethrower.
A flamethrower indeed.
Yeah, he's going to cut. All of a sudden, it's like, how do you get off a guy like Buddy Hield? And it's like, okay, I get it. The Kings are the Kings, but at least be fair. At least be fair to them.
Well, no, at least research. Like if you go and talk about them or write about them, like look, just like spend 10 minutes looking up something.
Yeah,
Jalen Rose talking about Tyrese Halliburton DMPs is still the wildest thing that's going to happen in the NBA world this year.
It's amazing he made that Rising Stars game getting a bunch of DMPs.
Crazy. Like, think about this. Think about that 90-second clip of Jalen and Jacoby. He's talking about Tyrese Halliburton getting DMPs, but is stunned that they traded him. Like, fam, reconcile that with me here for a minute. Like,
not to mention he's the number one guy, the Tyrese Halliburton fan club.
Right here. Went full RVD on us. I'm number one in the Tyrese Halliburton fan club.
I know so much about Tyrese. I think he's not playing when he is.
That's right. Jason, you talked about Kings fans having to give up on having to lose someone they love. Kenny and I have spent some time talking today about potentially losing someone else that the fan base loves, and that's Jay. I don't know where Rashawn Holmes fits in this new version of the Kings, and I'm not sure that Rashawn knows either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't because he re-signed to be their starting center. But this is also one of those kind of tough, the inconvenient truth situations. If you talk to people outside of Sacramento, most of them would tell you if Rashawn is your starting center, you're probably not going to be a very good team. Not to say that Rashawn can't play, but it's just in terms of your level of talent. I think Rashawn can still help this team, but if I'm him, I'm not happy that they traded for a center. But you traded for a walking double-double almost. You got and like I said, it's always that tug of I like him, but you got to be realistic about what we're talking about here. We're not talking. It's not like Sabonis is bumping out Joel Embiid, for playing time, or they got to now sit, Jokic because there's nothing we're talking about here. We're talking about players who are on a team that was down 60 points a couple of weeks ago. Players on a team that have had some of the worst outings I've ever seen at times this year, where they You know what I mean? Alvin apologizing once a week for what he put on the court.
Seriously.
So, I mean, it's just, I mean, I get it from a sentimental fan thing, but it does make me laugh. It's like, yeah, we're terrible, but we want to keep all of our favorite guys, though, except Buddy and Marvin.
Except Buddy and Marvin.
We want to get rid of those two because those are the two guys holding us back. You know, and you saw some of the fan shift on De'Aaron, and all of a sudden we don't like him either. But it's like, okay, but still, you want to keep everyone else except Buddy and Marvin, and you're mad that they can't flip De'Aaron for, like, I don't know, Kevin Durant. I don't know what people expect sometimes. Like, you sit here and say this team is terrible. We don't have enough good players, but you want to take these same players and get a superstar for them.
Right.
Like, yeah, we're sure that team over there will need the depth of our below 500 team by give us their best player. It ain't gonna happen.
And the interesting thing about that too is I think Monty McNair deserves a lot of credit. And this is his job, so maybe he doesn't deserve a lot of credit, but it didn't seem like he got caught up in all that emotional stuff. I'm sure he liked Tyrese just like he liked everybody else, but he knew his job was to make this team better and to make the hard decisions. I'm sure he likes Rashawn Holmes. Bringing in a guy that probably is going to replace Rashawn Holmes wasn't something he wanted to do, but he said, you know what, this is what needs to be done for this team to have a better opportunity to be a playoff team that they're trying to be. Then he did it. I don't want to say with no hesitation because I don't know how long it took him to press call on that, but he got it done, man, and I give him credit for that.
He did his job because this is the reason why a lot of times you can't let your coach be your GM, because it's the GM's job to think about the big picture, not just right now, but 1 year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. A lot of times if you're too close to a player, you can't make that deal because you're like, but I'm the guy you signed him, but he's all, to be, just kind of just blunt about it. These guys are signed to be traded and whatever, you're just trading contracts at that point. You can't get wrapped up in, well, I really like him or I like this guy more than another. Like I said, Tyrese was his first, decision. And it went extremely well. Can't be easy to say, you know what? I like this. I like, I like Tyrese. Tyrese talked about wanting to be in Sacramento before it seemed like it would be the perfect fit, but it's not his job to be emotionally attached to people. That might have been one of Vlade's flaws, is that he liked his guys. In fact, and I believe in them as my guys, where you can say, you know what, you guys ain't cutting it. You got to do something different. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to get. I guess you can give maybe Monty credit for not getting wrapped up in the emotion and the. Because I'm pretty sure he knew that people would not be happy that Tyrese. He knew that wasn't going to be like a yay retrading Tyrese Halliburton. Right. Of course, Tyrese goes and balls out his first game, and it's like, oh, see, look what we've done. It's like, look what we've done. He knew that was coming. Yeah. But you got a chance to get someone who's been an all-star twice, who's 25, under contract for 2 more years, and you're Sacramento, and you know that you can't turn a bunch of cap space into saying, okay, you know what, we'll wait for this guy to become a free agent, go get him. You got to do that. You can't let the emotion of everything else stop you. You got to go ahead and make the tough decisions, and I'm willing to let this one ride out and see what becomes of it, because I think we can all agree the group as it was before wasn't going anywhere.
No, sir.
Going right back to the lottery. So, I mean, even if you go back to the lottery this year, he kept the pick this year too. Yeah. So even if you go back to the lottery, that pick might be valuable in bringing in more help or getting you drafting someone. You don't know what's going to happen. So I think, people are going to have to relax a little, let this thing play out. Maybe a guy like Rashawn gets attached to that pick and you send him somewhere for, another player, maybe some more help, some more depth. I'm not convinced you give up on Rashawn anyway, but I mean, you look around the league, where is he going to get moved and walk in and be the automatic starter? I don't know. We don't know how it's going to look next season. So I'm not convinced you just give, the Kings are going to you still need depth. Yeah. You still need that. You just can't, you can't get wrapped up in, well, he's not happy with this decision. You know, not that I've talked to Rashawn or anything like that. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but you can't get wrapped up in, okay, this guy's not happy. Let me try to get him out of here.
Yeah.
Guys are unhappy all the time. You got to make it, but that doesn't mean you cripple your team or hurt your team. I mean, having Rashawn Holmes on your bench is not a bad thing, and his contract is not crazy. I mean,
that's right. That's important.
He's basically making what Marvin was, you know, around not that far from what Marvin was making this year. Right. And I think, you know, that's not a crazy deal to have on your books.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned all in all, did Monty McNair hit a home run this trade deadline?
I ain't gonna say a home run yet. I mean, I think he.
But you landed Sabonis, so you landed one of the the so-called big fish out there, and as you have pointed out a couple of times, they actually were able to move on from Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, and somehow Dante DiVincenzo is finally a member of the Sacramento Kings. So
that's the best part of this whole thing. That's the best part, and they didn't even give up Bogey to get him.
Marvin was traded for 3 guys. Like, if that's not a home run, man, I don't know what is. I still don't know how he did that.
I mean, you know, as my buddy Bomani says, they got white Dante. I mean, that's all, you know. so I'm just like, yeah, that's good. That's a win for them. But yeah, I think you take all that into consideration. Maybe it's a double, maybe it's a triple, maybe it's an inside the park home run. I don't know. But
Monty really hustling, getting around the bases.
Yeah, I mean, he had to hustle on this one because I was wondering how you gonna get off of all these guys. You know, how do you get off of Marvin, Buddy? We all knew Tristan was probably going to be a part of something at some point. You know, so it was like, how are you going to make this work? And Detroit had been mentioned with Marvin earlier in the season, and kind of the whole, even I think I wrote one of my last King stories, wrote about the idea of Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles being a couple of guys that would make sense in return. But yeah, being able to get DiVincenzo back there to add some depth, especially with TD, not playing, that was to me it's a good move. You know, Dante's a guy you could bring back beyond this season. You know, you'd probably pay him considerably less than you were paying Buddy. Give you some more flexibility long term. Yeah, when you put it all together, did a good job.
What do you think his role is?
Yeah. I kept saying, let's wait to see what happens at the deadline. I thought Kenny was going to choke me if I said that one more time.
I never wavered. I never had an issue. I said, let my guy, young Monty, do his work. I was ready. I was ready and very patient for him.
You're just up here lying to people now. You're telling lies. What do you think DiVincenzo's role will be through the remainder of the season, or even potentially longer term?
I mean, he got just first off, just get him back acclimated to playing a regular role. You know, get him going, and then some of the stuff you want to be able to some shooting. You know, if he can help with the defense, I like the idea of bringing guys who have been a part of solid defensive programs and helping to add to these guys. Don't bring in somebody. You don't need anybody else who's been around somebody who can't play defense. You need guys who understand. The more guys you bring in that understand how to play defense for them, the better. So I just think, and everyone gets caught up in, well, he's been on the, remember Vlade was trying to find all the guys who had been champions and help that part of the locker room. That was part of the reason why he brought, a guy like Vince in, because he was like, Carter can be around De'Aaron right now, and the things that De'Aaron will learn from Vince won't show up, but they'll show up 2 or 3 years later. That's why he brought in guys like Ariza to help, with stuff like that. But the thing is, if you can get somebody who's younger who has all that stuff, it's probably better for them long term. That way, when they talk, it's not like, oh, that's just the old head back there urine in his mouth.
All right.
So I think he'll have it wouldn't shock me if down the road he could end up being a starter on this team. Maybe not this year, but who knows how things are going to shape up. But I've always liked his game going back to Villanova. And I thought losing him in the playoffs was going to hurt Milwaukee more, but they figured it out. So I guess it's been a year and a half coming with with Dante getting to Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's gonna. Like I said, they've got. I'm not gonna call them the young core because I hate that phrase at this point. They got a nucleus of guys who are coming off their first contracts now, who should know enough about how to play the game, hopefully, so that next year, when you say the Kings in top 10 in the West, people aren't laughing. Because right now it's still like, okay, yeah, whatever.
How would you, if you were Monty McNair and you're in this situation, you have this roster now, you have Fox and Sabonis and, like you said, a nucleus to do some things. How would you deal with this summer? And I'm talking specifically with your first round pick. Our guy James Ham was talking about how, they may forego using that pick on themselves, try to package that in a deal to find that third guy, another big fish like player. Do you think the Kings are, with Sabonis and Fox, are at that spot where, hey, let's try and get a big fish to make three, top level players, or do they still need to be working through the draft, in your opinion?
I think it depends on where that pick is.
Right.
They may play themselves into a position where that pick is like 11th. And I don't know what you can do with the 11th pick, no matter how deep the draft is. But if they get lucky and get into the top 5, now you got a legit discussion of, do we take the best player available or do we try to package this thing? And last time the best player available a couple of years ago ends up being the key to getting them Sabonis and Halliburton. If they had went need in 2020 or did something kind of off the wall, you may not have a Sabonis in that, be able to pull a deal off like that. So I think if you get in the top 5 or you get, get crazy here, you get number 1, number 2, you can keep that and know you got a chance to get a superstar, or you find some team that's trying to move off of some guys, or maybe they're breaking it up because every year there's guys who you may have thought wouldn't get traded who get traded. I mean, I remember when I said at the end of last season, watch out for Porzingis getting moved. They can't move Porzingis. They need another max guy with Luka. Porzingis plays for the Wizards now. So anybody can get moved. They're given the situation, after the postseason. We don't know what it's going to look like. What team might implode and say, we got to, scrap this whole plan. So I think them keeping that pick is big because it gives them some flexibility. And like I said, maybe even if it's later, you package that pick and a player or two to get that, to go somewhere for a team that's, maybe looking at starting a rebuild or at least getting off some money. Now you've got some things to work with, and you still probably got some guys on your roster who might be appealing to other teams still too. So yeah, I think it all depends on where that pick is. If it's later in the lottery, it is what it is. If you can use it, great. But if not, you might get lucky and get another Tyrese type guy at 10 or 11. So we'll see. But I like the idea if they're going to try to go in and get to the postseason, taking that pick and getting the veteran for it, because they've been young for about 15 years now.
About that,
winning some games.
About that. You wrote about it in The Athletic, I think yesterday. Greatest halftime Super Bowl show of all time?
Oh, for me, my very LA bias, yes. I know people were like, what about Prince? I'm like, I like Prince, but that ain't Dre and Snoop. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. That's just me. That's not Dre and Snoop. And that's just going to be, for my own biases. And I think even when you look at, to blend what ended up being like 5 or 6 different performances into one show.
Yeah.
That thing, they pulled that thing off nice. And then I'm noticing all the little Compton landmarks that no one else is, outside of LA weren't noticing. I'm like, I think they got Tam's Burgers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I said right there. I said, then people gonna try to go to Tam's until they realize that Tam's that one is in Compton.
That's not where you think it is.
They're gonna be like, no, that ain't cool. No, we're not gonna put this on our. We're gonna find our burger, a Tam somewhere else. But yeah, I was like,
that's not on the map. That's not on the Hollywood Stars map. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself, people. Don't be like, wow, let me go to the Compton courthouse now. No, don't do that to yourself. Just go ahead and. Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the halftime show. The game was all right too, but yeah, seeing that, seeing just thinking about where Dre was in the 90s and all the controversy all those guys pretty much had. Most of them had. You know, I don't think
all of them had. Yeah, all of them.
I can't think of Mary's controversy. That's why I said most.
Yeah, Mary was clean. She was just always depressed. That was
Mary.
all.
Yeah, Mary been through
bad
it.
relationships, you know. But I mean, yeah, Snoop had.
Mary has a 22-year-old son. She's been passing off as an 18-year-old. That's me.
How you think Tyreke felt seeing Monet and Kanan taking it to the Super Bowl?
and just another example that the Kings can't catch a break.
Can't catch a break.
Zeke gets killed trying to get on the plane. It's like they made the promise in the draft to take Zeke Cross. Find out he's like 29. You know, he's like what is it? The OJ Mayo of his generation.
And
you find out, wow, he's really good, but he's also really old.
That's phenomenal knowledge. Wasn't OJ like when he was 17, he was really like 19 or something like that?
It was something sick. It was like, oh, this guy's the next thing coming. Like, oh, by the way, he's really old. It's like, what? And it happened, you know, was my man who went to UCLA, what was it? Salim, I forgot his name. Was it Muhammad? The one who ended up getting drafted by Minnesota?
Yeah.
Wasn't he another one where they was like, he's not really his age?
He was like 20 his freshman year at UCLA.
Like, yeah, it's like, well, then you realize he might have been a great recruit if he was coming out of a JC. Like, no, of course he's going to dominate them. These kids can't even drive, and this dude can almost buy cigarettes and almost go to the liquor store on his own. I mean, of course he's going to dominate these kids.
Hey, Jay, real quick before we get out of here, Tyreke Evans reinstating. How do you know all that? Is he available to sign with a team now, or is it still a process?
The 18th is the day where he can sign with anyone. I had checked back in a few months ago with some of his people because the Athletic was trying to write a story about it. He wasn't interested in talking. I mean, I can understand that, but but from what I've heard, he's been ready to go for a while. He's working out. For months, he's been ready, just waiting for this day where they would reinstate him. So I wish him the best, see where, knowing the way this world works, Tyreke gonna end up being a Laker.
Man.
And you know what, though? As wild as they look at times, I don't think LA, they'll take anything right now. I mean, people in LA was mad at LeBron going to the Super Bowl. Like, how dare you have fun at 2 times? When you just missed the free throw in San Francisco, you can't go to the game, LeBron. Yeah, LA is hot right now. They're probably more mad at the Lakers than they are happy about the Rams.
That's a fact.
No, that's 100%.
I didn't even watch the Rams play.
So I did a little further research. That's a smidge big cap. That's a little bit deceitful leaving LA. Like they weren't in the top 10, but their population makeup is a little bit different. They still pulled a pretty monster number for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, everyone loves to make fun of LA for not caring about the sports, and
rightfully so.
You guys aren't there at the start of the game. I said I've been to every NBA arena. Most of them aren't full at tip-off, except like Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Which is known as the movie theater destination in the NBA.
Yeah, Oklahoma City is packed from maybe Portland gets close, but yeah, most of them aren't filled to start a game. But whenever it's LA, oh my God, they don't care. They're out there getting plastic surgery.
Yeah. Getting plastic surgery.
I've heard so many crazy LA things about why they're late to games. It ain't the traffic. They just don't love their team. Like, forgive people for having a life.
No, it's the traffic. It's 100% the traffic.
I know. You've been down there. Kenny knows.
It is absolutely the traffic. Like it
almost makes you not even want to go to the game.
Oh, it's so miserable down there.
If you're like 5 minutes late, you're like, whatever.
It's the professor, Jason Jones of The Athletic. Jason, we appreciate you as always, my brother. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Appreciate you.